Hello and welcome to another special edition of The Big O Show, starring Orestes Destrade. And look at this, we got a special guest in studio, my friend.
We do. Isn't that awesome?
Would you like to introduce?
I would love to introduce the one and only legendary Hall of Fame coach of Tampa Catholic, and not just the coach, but mentor in this area for 60 years, the great Pete Mulry. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Oh, thank you for having me. Two of my best people I'm with today.
Yeah,
so this
buddy.
is really cool.
I appreciate it. I know that you listen in and you enjoy our broadcast, not only this one, but also JP Peterson show that's been fantastic now for years. So welcome aboard to so many great things that you've done, players that you've had, mentoring, writing kids' books. It's just a pleasure to have you on because you're, as they say, a plethora of knowledge, and we appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, Coach.
Oh, it's great to be here. Listen, first of all, what a studio.
Yeah.
What a place.
Right?
This is really cool.
Kingmakers, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always talk about it. You get a chance to see it live.
I love it. Yeah. This is really neat.
We get you in the golf simulator, get you out there at the sports bar and hanging out with us here. We got all of it, yeah.
I could get dangerous here.
You could, yeah. You're fun to be had.
You may want to stay.
I may not leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And by the way, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
February 23rd. You turned 60, is it? Something like that?
Oh, wouldn't that be
50?
nice? Yeah, I kind of blew by that. Oh, goodness.
Big 8-0, man.
8-0. Yes, sir.
You look phenomenal. You look great. You sound great.
Thank you.
We love you, man. Thank you.
So Tampa Catholic, also Sports Club of Tampa Bay Hall of Famer. Big part of what we do there in getting our people in the Hall of Fame. Probably need to get this guy in.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that this morning.
It's all good. It's all
probably
good.
Need to get him in.
It's all good.
But the players you've coached over the years, just rattle them off. And some of the Tampa Catholic kids that have come through your program there and pass.
Coach, probably some of the best. My first club at 1968, they were playing baseball then. But Nadi Contreras, Johnny Tamargo, Ricky Puig, he was a first-round draft choice for the Mets. And what was really cool, Chuck Hernandez, pitching coach in the major leagues for 17 years with the
Rays.
So,
right,
that is unbelievable.
Chucky.
Davian Menendez pitches to the 71 Crown. But, I think the best club we've ever had, and I'm kind of very prejudiced to say I thought the best high school baseball team ever in Tampa and Hillsborough County was the 73 national championship team led by Manuel Cioni. That was the club, that was the West Tampa, I think, 1971 Senior League national champions.
Okay.
I mean, Joe Perez, Pat Booth, Eddie Comunes, Rocky Rockamora, Rick Alfonso, Manuel Cioni, the player of the year in Sports Illustrated, at 20 wins and no losses.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And you beat my alma mater for that title, right?
Yes.
Christopher Columbus has been in the news a lot with Mendoza, and all the hype, and Cam Boozer now, playing in the NCAA tourney. It was a powerhouse. Miami, Tampa has always been at each other for so long. Just give us a little bit before we go into the Rays.
Sure, we're going to get to the Rays here.
We will, no doubt, I promise. But I just want to get just a little bit of tinge because you're going back into the 70s, 80s, and beyond. How formidable and how strong high school baseball and amateur baseball here in Tampa Bay, and how it goes all the way back when you think of, the likes of Tony La Russa and the likes of, all the great players that have come out of here, leading up to obviously Wade Boggs and so many Hall of Famers.
Yeah. I think it goes back, and I think about this all the time. I was blessed when I first started to have most of the kids and the Latin players that come out of West Tampa.
Right.
And just here I am, a Jersey guy, played at St. Leo, and I'm watching high school baseball in Tampa, and I thought, geez, I was a pretty good player. I couldn't even make any of these high school teams. That's
how competitive it was.
Come on. That's silly, right?
Yeah.
And so, I tell people, how good were the high school teams? How good were the American Legion teams?
Yeah. Right.
When Frank Permui and Pop Cuesta.
Oh, the great late.
I don't know how many Florida championships won, and then they won the national one in the 70s. But it's like somebody said to me, "Oh, you had a couple of good clubs?" No, we had 15 in a row, and so did Pop, and so did and so did Frank, and so there was I think what it was is that baseball was just such a family thing in town.
There's a great point.
I can remember, at Tampa Catholic, we would play a team and we'd feed them Cuban food, Spanish food before they left. And they didn't even care if they got their ass kicked. They were just happy they ate.
They're like, man, they feed us too.
Yeah, Cuban sandwiches are pretty damn good.
We got these
roast
Cuban sandwiches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it was an interesting, it's like, here I am talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old young men that knew the game so well, it kind of knocked you back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference today. It's like when you talk the game, you get a different kind of feedback.
Sure.
I don't know if you feel that or JP feels that.
Right.
But when I go to talk to young people about the game or young coaches about the game, there's not a.
Well, I'm going to tell you where that kind of started to, I'm not saying say demise, but get fragmented. And that is when you're going in that era back until about, I want to say 2000, all the way from the 70s leading up to that 30-year period, it was very community driven. By that, I mean, you have rec leagues and you have, little leagues and all stuff building up to high school. High school was so prominent.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, about 15, 20 years ago, you got into the infamous travel ball. So then it becomes very, dare I say, exclusive. And it gets fragmented as far as being communal and being community.
Absolutely.
So now you're playing, out of the area, and they play inside their own areas with leagues. But the bottom line is that when I grew up, he did too, because he played in a formidable area over in Hollywood, Florida, and great players. It was just that weekly thing, that family thing, and especially as you got into the weekends. Yeah, I don't know if that's around as much. It's still around. They still have leagues.
Well, it's become a business.
But it's business
travel ball
now.
business.
Yeah. It's a business.
Kids baseball is
Coach,
like all youth sports.
When I ran my real estate company up on Perdido Key, this one gentleman told me one time, when money's involved, people lose 50 IQ points.
Right.
So
that's classic.
So
words to live by.
Yes, that is so true.
Peter Mulvey.
It gets down and dirty, man.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: where does it stop? If I'm a high school coach and I'm charging money for kids to play for me in the summer or the fall or whenever, how am I so objective that JP should be my third baseman, or the Big O should be my first baseman and my fourth?
It's like college coaches in NIL.
Yes, right.
Now you know why some of the best players aren't playing.
Yeah.
It's like when I was writing the book, JP, and somebody said, "No, you got to do it this way for money." I said, "No, I got to do it this way because it's the right way."
It's the right way,
right.
To help kids.
Exactly.
We don't need to do anything more to harm kids. We're doing a great job of that.
Yeah.
All right. So in the spirit of making money, we have sponsors and we have to feed these people with Rays information. So this is a fascinating discussion.
Well,
and we're going to get
into some things, like even introducing the Mike Murphy and the community stuff, and what the Rays are trying to do, and what hopefully the new ownership is going to do, is to bring the community more involved with the game. And we didn't have a game yesterday.
So we're going to tie this all back around.
Sure.
This is a great discussion. I think that we get a lot of people that watch. They want to hear about the Rays and the game. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to come back to this discussion, which is amazing. Sure. And no better guys to have this discussion about where baseball is right now and talk about your foundation and all these cool things. And I think there's a lot of, if you're a local baseball guy out there, you're a coach, you're a player, you're involved in it. I think we're going to have some serious discussions about where the game is and where it needs to go and things. But let's tap into your expertise yesterday as the Rays.
The bottom line is that the love that we're talking about is about this incredible game of baseball that can drive you crazy, that could just pull your heart out sometimes, that has so many dynamic moves.
Like a love affair.
It is. Well, what I call it every year is, these are the Rays of our lives. And yesterday, it's 1 mile of a 162-mile marathon, and this was the first mile. But damn if we didn't right away have a bunch of dun dun dun.
Yeah, we did.
We already had Sloan and trying to do some great soap opera moves, and it came down, unfortunately, after this great beautiful opener at Busch Stadium and all the pomp and circumstances they put together. They did a wonderful job. It was very enjoyable to watch the pregame. Was down to unfortunately, the bullpen, just blew it up. 7-1 lead in the 6th inning. Unfortunately, you had to take out Drew Rasmussen after a 45-minute long inning. He threw phenomenally. I thought he was on point. He had one mistake. We're going to talk about 2 major mistakes. In fact, I'll bring them out right now. The first mistake was to J.J. Weatherholt, the young phenom rookie kid for the St. Louis Cardinals. They're putting a lot of hopes on. I've compared him to a National League version of Roman Anthony.
Yep.
The same type of debut. Hits a home run on an 0-2 pitch. 0-2 or 1-2. That 2 became very prevalent in the game yesterday. So many 2-strike hits. And you and I were talking about it before the show, JP, that I love the fact that Cal Snyder, who is a guru of a pitching coach, but one of the things that he professes and pushes is stay in the zone, be aggressive, throw a lot of fastballs, and sometimes it bites you if you miss. If you miss with a fastball with 2 strikes that you're trying to get it up on the zone,
1-2-0-2.
1-2-0-2, that you need 2 more balls up lengthwise, maybe even 3, just get him to chase. Both those balls to obviously to Burleson by Jax later on in the 6th, and of course in the 3rd inning to J.J. Weatherholt by the Big Red. Rasmussen was missed. Still, great outing for Rasmussen. The problems became that in that 6th inning, after you take him out, Ian Seymour just had tremendous bad luck, was missing some spots, but also just 2-strike little flares here, base hit after base hit. And you got in a situation where you just decided to go to close the door here and stop the bleeding.
Yep.
And you went after your 2 guns in the bullpen early because there was still a third of a game left.
Right.
And I kind of agree with it. JP, you and I talked about it even on your show, that you bring in Garrett Clevenger and you bring in Jax.
I mean, that's the game right there. They're making a run.
It is 7-7. The game, but I still, again, and I've got a veteran and a guy myself who played. I'm in the belief that your quality couple of guys need to be left for the 8th and 9th, and you got to have enough confidence in the guys to hold the door down in the 5.
What happened yesterday is, what do I do now?
Exactly, because then you kind of you used up your guys. There was no more scoring for either team after that. So it was a weird, and I will say, historic opening day 6th inning. Since 1912 has there never been 2 teams in the same inning score 6 or more runs. So in
the opener,
in an opener. So I said in an opener. Yeah. Of course, it's happened numerous times. 2 teams scored 10 runs in an inning, but in an opener, very an anomaly. Couple other things that were key points for me. It was 91 degrees, so it was very humid. The balls were flying. Unfortunately, the Rays really only lifted the ball 3 times. One by Jonathan Aranda, who was, flicked basically a home run. So the humidity was carrying balls. One by Ryan Vilade.
Vilade,
yeah. Vilade. Is it
Vilade?
Vilade.
Like a blade.
Like a blade. Yeah. Vilade. Because we're going to get it right, because I'm Destrade. I would think it would be Vilade, but, I'm Cuban. So don't pay attention to my
That's what they called him.
My accents. But they did call him, and they know him from the National League. So Vilade hits a massive blast. The kid Church makes, no doubt a play of the day, maybe play of the month already in baseball. Then you had the 6'6" kid, Jordan Walker, make a great play on Carson Williams' drive to the right field. Wasn't going to be a home run, but definitely was a great play. Then Carson Williams just misses a home run by a foot, maybe less. But on the flip side, only 16 base hits, 17 hits, 16 base hits,
singles.
16 singles, excuse me. But for them, the big 2 blasts made the difference there. But an exciting game. I mean, if you want an exciting baseball and high scoring, you got it. But that's not the type of game that we're going to normally see a Rays team play. They're going to be more 4-3 games. The one thing that I will also add to it, and then I want you guys' thoughts. Man, who's going to hit behind Junior Caminero because he walked 4 times yesterday. I applaud him. He got 4 walks. He got one knock, 1 base hit. But the bottom line is that they're going to pitch around this dangerous kid. Yeah. They already know the book. Not only from the 45 home runs last year, but look how he did in the World Baseball Classic.
He hits the ball so hard,
right?
Oh my God!
He just has this great backswing, finish. And so they're just pitching around him. And so when you start a lefty, especially, you're going to have to use a guy like a Ben Williamson, who, if I'm a pitcher and I'm out there and I look over to the left and it's Caminero here, I'm going to take my chances with Ben Williamson.
I'm just doing this.
Almost. To some degree, they're going to go. And I love the fact that Junior showed, discipline.
Right.
That's going to make him a 300 hitter if he does that regularly. Yeah. But you're going to have to now against righties, coach. You're going to have more formidable. You're going to have Jake Fraley. You're going to have the Mullins. So that there's protection that he's going to get better pitches.
But you know what? The people that really know the game, when you say to somebody, one hitter, if we go get them, changes our whole lineup.
That's it. Yeah.
Pete, no, we need more. No, we need one.
Just need
one.
One
would change the whole. Yeah, we could stand a couple,
right?
But one would change the whole deal.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The guy that's going to have a hellacious year if they just keep the lineup the way it is.
Right.
Jonathan Aranda. Jonathan Aranda is going to get pitched to because they don't want to get to Caminero with a guy on base.
Right.
So Jonathan Aranda needs to just, if they're going to keep it that way and he's going to be 3 and Caminero 4 all season long, he needs to hit 330. And just take advantage of that and play Jeff Kent to Barry Bonds. And I'm not comparing 2 Hall of Famers. Well, Barry's not in the Hall of Fame, but in my mind's eye, he is. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's kind of what the situation is. And I can tell you so many historic, players that protected the guy before him.
Yeah.
So the guy before him has to crush to make the opposition pay.
Absolutely.
And we talked about this at nauseum, so we'll get manager Pete in here as well. Chandler Simpson, doesn't even start the game against the left-hander, which bodes to us that maybe they're going to do a platoon thing with Vlade.
It has to be, because why would you do it in day 1? That means you're going to do it in day 50.
Yeah, and a guy that hits left-handers and right-handers at a 295 clip that is absolutely electric on the base pass. That's
we saw it yesterday.
It puts it at the top of the order. That sets a table for everybody. The great leadoff hitters that led some of the great lineups. Why would you platoon a guy who hits 295 against righties and lefties and runs like that?
JP, and listen, I think the guys in the dugout for the Rays every year do a good job.
Oh,
probably a great job.
We love
However, once in a while, I'm like,
those are the ones. That's when the analytics guys win. That's when the analytics guys win.
Statty Seth, we call him. Statty Seth comes in and he drops the stats, and then they lean towards it, and it becomes a problem. Because not only is that platoon, I'm gonna have to live with, right? Because then the only positive thing about that platoon, I know you just are gonna fight this. You're gonna fight it until Chandler Simpson is donned the starting left fielder every day. Because I talk about the fact that baseball predominantly is about power, and that is power pitching, power hitting, power running. So you forget what the Kenny Loftons and the Vince Colemans and the Ricky Hendersons can do for a team, right? So this kid is that type of potential of caliber. If you unleash him and just let him go. Yesterday he went 1st to 3rd on a ball. It's like, he's going 1st to 3rd.
Well, just think about it. If you're pitching and it's a whole different mindset. If I'm pitching and I got a runner at first, then I'm pitching with a runner at second.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about it.
Totally different.
Yeah. It happened with us even in the game yesterday with the kid Scott for the Cardinals. It was a flamer. You just can just flat out fly high, and they threw over 3 times. And they tried to pick him off on the 3rd time, balk, and they gave him second.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of type of cat.
And we talked about Coleman and all those guys. With these rules they have now, with the throw over and the bigger bases, those guys made it still 200.
Yeah.
And it gives Chandler Simpson
Vince Coleman
the opportunity.
at least 150.
It gives these guys like Chandler Simpson an opportunity to change the game every single day. and you're going to make him play 60% of the time.
Where I will go in the platoon scenario that I'm not, all bought in. That one, I'm just the jury's still out. I like Destrade, nice power, nice defense. Okay, I like that kid.
I do too, but we can work him in other places.
Right? Okay, but
he does everything.
It's kind of tricky to work him in other places because here's the other platoons, right? I like the Johnny DeLuca Fraley platoon.
Like that.
Fraley's the thumper, but really mainly against righties. So 60% of the times you're going to see Fraley. He's going to hopefully hit 20 home runs in those 60% of the time. I think that Johnny Luke not only brings you a potent bat, phenomenal defensive outfield, right? So now you've got two like center fielders in right and center with Mullins. So that platoon's okay. That platoon I'm going to live with for right now. It's okay. The platoon that I cannot live with right now, and I don't agree, is Fortes and Fiducia. So the moment that a righty came in, Fortes came out of the game. I'm sorry, but Fiducia is not a major league hitter. and I don't say that, you've been listening to me for 15 years.
You're very kind to the players.
I'm very kind to the players, but this is just a flat out reality, both statistically and visually, where he is just not a major league hitter. So you have Fortes, who's their prowess for both these guys are great defenders, but Fortes can swing the bat. That's got to be my everyday catcher. And then the kid Fiducia is a weekend catcher, especially against a righty starting. Yeah. You throw him out because he's a lefty hitter. Fortes obviously righty. The other platoon right now that I'm not crazy with continuing is a righty came in, Ben Williamson, who had 3 knocks, comes out of the game, and Rich Palacios come in because he's a left-handed hitter. Until Gavin Lux comes back, I like Gavin Lux against righties and Ben Williamson. So those 3, those platoons are going to be interesting. How the dichotomy of that continuing.
Coach, how long do you wait? Do you give them 20 games?
That's a great point.
How long?
That's going to be the key. I think there's going to be a level of Gavin Lux should be back shortly, so then that kind of nullifies the Richie Palacio situation. He'll have to actually be sent down. And so then you'll go Ben Williamson, Gavin Lux, and that should work out. The Fortes Fiducia, I think that's going to show its wares very quickly because there's so many more righties, and if Fiducia doesn't hit the way that I think he can, then you're going to go, man, I'm kind of wasting a pretty good bat. Because remember, I don't got to tell you, Coach, platoon wise, the harder scenario is lefty on lefty than righty on righty.
Correct.
So a right-handed hitter is so accustomed to hitting right-handed pitching that you're not grasping, by sticking a guy out there, righty.
Coach, here's a question that I always kind of had a difficult time with, is that some guys got to play every day.
Yeah. And that's where we're going with Chandler.
Yeah, that's Chandler.
Just get him in the role, get him in the move, get him going. You know what I mean?
Because he's still a young player. And he's still learning how to hit, but he's got such good tools.
I think he has all-star potential.
Yeah. There are. You go listen to Rosenthal and some of the national pundits, and they look at Chandler Simpson and they talk about him as one of the most unique weapons in baseball. Yes. And the Rays analysts have him sitting his ass on the bench
against
lefties, where he's hitting 295.
But here's the thing, Coach. If you're a power guy, maybe you platoon him, not a guy that can hit a ground ball and beat it out.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a different. Yeah, there's a different mentality for him.
Or honestly, if you had a more proven right-handed thumper, and again, I really like Brian Destrade. I like him a lot. I've been talking about him since the moment that they acquired him, and I looked into him and saw not only his stats but looked up some video on him. I go, that's a nice swing. Like him, but you're not talking that this is an established right-handed power hitting, left fielder, outfielder. So that's where you're kind of going. So to answer your question, Coach, I think that one's going to be a little bit of a, journey to see how that works out the first month of the season. Gavin Lux is going to come back and get most of the starts. So that'll answer that. I think the Fiducia Fortes is going to answer by itself. And then, right field, don't just leave that alone. It's proven, again, when you're talking about proven visual and statistics and metrics, Jake Fraley struggles dramatically against lefties, while DeLuca doesn't. Both are, one is an exceptional outfielder. The other one, Fraley, has got a rocket, one of the best arms in right field, not as good athletically. I'm super fine with that, so we're going to see how this navigates. But yesterday was a very frustrating game, albeit one of 162. But remember, this is a team that I think most of their games are going to be close, but also the season's going to be close. By that, I mean, it may be, 1 or 3 game difference of them making the wild card or getting into the playoffs. These tough losses, you start looking back, and I do not want to look back at, of all times, March 26th. If we could have had that opening day win, that would have meant 87 wins instead of 86, and we're in the wild card.
Well, and you said it. If we're going to be mostly in one-run games, then we can't be making
a 7-1 game go away.
Correct.
Yeah, that was surprising and ugly. But again, it's so exciting to have the Rays back on. Just playing. By the way, really like I like the kid Carson Williams, talking about him. He had a knock. Looks comfortable at short. You know what I mean? Yeah. He looks like a big leaguer.
If he can come on, what a difference in our club.
Yeah, if he can
if he can swing the bat a little bit more.
I just think that he could be something super special. I hope that I hope he gets hot.
Yep.
Because then even when Taylor Walls comes back, then you use him as a closer defensively.
Yep.
I've been saying that. He's got to be okay with that because he doesn't have a stick. You know what I mean? You can't just go and go
Taylor,
like, I should be the shortstop because I've hit 280 before or even 250. That's nowhere to be found.
Yep.
So I hope that Carson sticks early and has a hot first month because Taylor Walls is going to be out at least a month. Yeah. So if you do that, then come on back, Taylor Walls. But this is our shortstop right now. As far as the pitching, that bullpen needs to be shored up, but they're going to come around.
I look at this season as, something that's building towards something. This East is it's a beast for this
dramatic.
Particular club, this Rays club to overtake 2 other of these clubs. They're just, it's not even a fair playing field with these ridiculous payrolls that you're dealing with the Yankees and
talent.
That's being said, I want to see these young
payroll, but talent.
And I want to see these young kids grow. We call them the 29ers, right? When we move into the new stadium over here, hopefully, and that all goes well. And so I want to see Williamson. This is a power hitting. It can be a power. He's always been a great defensive player. Now he's added some weight and a good hitter, contact hitter. Yeah. And now he's added a little bit of thump. Yeah. So you got a great defensive kid that's added some size and some thump. And Carson at 6'3", 210 can be a monster shortstop with power. Can you imagine these 2 guys going forward? And they're, but Ben's 25, Carson's 22.
With you. I do not unforesee the future tandem of short and second being the Williamson.
Yeah, that's a kick-ass duo right
Ben
there.
Williamson and Carson Williams,
both with 20+ home run power.
One's 23, one's 26.
Yeah.
You're in the nice range. Actually, Carson's younger than that. I think
22.
Yeah, 22 and 26. You're in the range that you can have these guys for a decade.
Yeah.
Coach, and then go find a couple of thumpers, maybe one more to go with Caminero.
We got one at third. And
that's why we were just begging for one more big bat in this offseason. Instead of spending $13 million on Nick Martinez, go out and get a thumper that you can put right behind.
He wanted Ozuna. I don't know if Ozuna can play
for $12 million.
Outfield.
We'll deal with it
every day, but because you have Yandy DH, and you can't move that cornerstone. But yeah, a guy like Ozuna, a right-handed thumper.
Imagine if you had Yandy, Aranda, or Caminero,
and then Ozuna protecting.
A
veteran bat protecting that lineup.
Righties or lefties. 4 meat guys that are just as a pitcher, and you got that pain in the ass Chandler Simpson at the top.
Massive.
You'd be like, if you're a pitcher, you're like that first 5, you're like, man, I gotta get this guy out. This guy, because I don't want his ass.
I gotta get Carson Williams and Williamson out,
right?
I mean, because
they're lurking at the bottom of the lineup. You got something. That thickens things up. Like you said, just one guy changes the entire dynamic because you don't pitch to players, you pitch to a lineup, right? As a pitcher, you look at a lineup.
We talked a lot about the kid from the big thumper from the Angels, Joe Adell. and trying to get that trade done. But they wanted too much, I think.
Yeah, they wanted Pepio.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to give up something pretty big to get. But that's a mid-30s home run a year monster, young in his.
Coach, he needs a change.
Yeah,
he needs a fresh start somewhere.
He's in that dismal Anaheim Angels scenario. Though they did win their first game yesterday, Mike Trout did go deep, but that kid is again, we're not putting ourselves too far ahead, but come July, and we're in the thick of it. Does the ownership group make a a Nelly Cruz-ish type of because that's what Nelly brought to us. You needed that right-handed thumper. So do they make that type of a move? We'll see. But for right now,
if the stadium deal gets done, yes.
How about that?
If it doesn't, it's a maybe.
Look at JP Peterson throwing it out there.
Well, I mean, it might be a nice kind of segue here to talk about Tampa baseball, Tampa Bay baseball, but Tampa, West Tampa.
Right.
I just think it's kind of a romantic. Baseball is a very romantic game, right?
Of course.
And it's in this West Tampa, Ybor City, and Pete, you're the great person to talk about this. And I grew up in an area in South Florida like him where this rich baseball tradition. Right. Same thing here. And now you bring the Rays over where they always should have been. No disrespect to St. Pete. It's just a location thing in the middle of the market. And it's such a baseball rich, loving area.
Yes.
We just had the event with all your guys, Tamarago and McCullers and Chucky Hernandez and Nandi. All of it. It's such a rich tradition with McGriff and Gooden and Louis and Boggs and Sheffield. I mean, we go on and on. And now the guys that are playing it now, and Tucker and Alonso and all of our guys. And it's just, this is what it's always meant to be. And we've always done baseball wrong in terms of bad ownership, bad location, bad stadium. This just brings it all home and brings it all together. Yeah. And we're just, we're stuck in the mud with these negative people that want to clutch their pearls about, fire trucks or a baseball stadium. Hey, we can do both. Hey, you know what? We're big enough boys that if Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and everybody can find a way to buy fire trucks and build a stadium, then we can too.
JP, I always think about this and just step away from a little bit, just from baseball to a total sports. You watch us on national TV, our city shows so well.
Right.
Beautiful.
What an embarrassment to this city if we can't put this stadium here. Just think about that.
Right. It's a huge step back. And with our love for baseball, and then you're going to say, we can't do that here. And I know it's a big ask, and a lot of these things need to be value engineered, in terms of money. But we got a group of guys here that want to invest $8 to $10 billion into our community. And they're bringing a $2 billion asset in the Rays, which, by the way, these other teams are going to have to probably pay $2.5 billion to get their Major League Baseball team. We have it. And to me, having a baseball team in your city is one of the great things in terms of quality of life. To be able to take your kids to a baseball game, and these guys are making it so fan-friendly and family-friendly. To be able to take, I remember taking my kids to the World Series in 2008, and sitting there in Tropicana Field in the upper deck, and just like, that's a memory that we will cherish our entire lives.
I guarantee you there'll be more kids here at this stadium than there ever are across the West.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's just a location thing. It's no knock on St. Pete at all.
No, and it's a culture thing.
Yeah.
Tampa has a different culture.
Yes.
A way of doing things sports-wise than St. Pete has.
Right.
Yeah. When I first came here 60 years ago and looked around, that was where all the arts, all the plays, all the music, and I'd be crude to say we were the jock town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that fits.
No, it does fit.
That fits. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No.
Everybody. And so when I look at Tampa Bay, and I grew up in South Florida, and I come here and people are like, don't cross the bridge, Tampa versus St. Pete. I'm like, it's one city. It's Tampa Bay. And we've gotten so provincial about things. It's like, no, this is where the sports teams are. That's where you go for great food and downtown life and music and the arts and the beach, the greatest beaches in the world.
If you look at New York, what's the difference from the Village in Manhattan?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's everybody plays a role, and that's what makes us so great.
Absolutely.
And that's just not a place for a baseball stadium.
JP, what was really cool when they did the panel for opening day down at the museum in Ybor City, the baseball museum. how many old Latin men were there last time.
Right.
It was
Right.
it was like going,
They were excited.
oh, they were.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And when you talk about the alternative beat, you're so right. Can you imagine us not doing this?
No.
Come on.
Yeah.
And it's a very vocal minority. And unfortunately, it's the only quote newspaper that we have in town that just cannot stomach the idea of losing their baseball team in St. Pete. The provincialism is just ridiculous. And then there's politics involved as well, which is also ridiculous. It's just let's look at this thing and base it on its merits. And there we've got a great opportunity with an incredible, and it's a core of local folks. I think people see Patrick Zalupski. Oh, he's from Jacksonville. That's, by the way, Florida. These are Tampa adjacent people.
But moving here.
Yeah, but moving here. Bill Cosgrove lives down in the Sarasota, Bradenton area.
Ken Babby moved here.
Moved here immediately.
Right.
And their families
You
and
met
everybody.
you met one of the minority owners just a few minutes before the show, Mike Murphy.
Yeah.
Fred Ridley, the chairman of Augusta,
Yeah.
lifelong Tampanian.
The Weatherford Group.
The Weatherford Group.
All
Dan
local.
Doyle.
Dan Doyle.
King of the
Powerful.
Pelican in St. Pete.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are all Tampa Bay
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
are coming together to build something great.
Dr. Workman from Orlando.
Yeah.
I mean, still Florida. I mean, everybody is kind of in the nucleus and bought in. We have not had that, Coach.
Never.
And you and I both go back, as does he, to the God bless his soul, Vince Namoli, and at least bringing baseball in here, but it was not run properly. Then you got into the next ownership group led by Stuart Sternberg, not run properly. You're in a situation that's something that they're trying to run properly and put their money where their mouth is.
Absolutely.
And
This
when
is the
you're
first-
committing $1 billion, basically, let's round it up to $1.2 billion for a stadium. Let's meet.
Well, they're committing $8 to $10 billion.
No, but I'm just saying, let's
Just
just
the
talk
stadium.
about the stadium
Yeah.
and the school.
But
they'll
you can't
commit
because
to the
it's
rest.
a bigger play than that.
It's a bigger play
not
than
just,
that.
That's
Yeah.
what I don't like that they're constantly just talking about the stadium.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
not just the stadium.
That's a good
It's
point.
a brand new Hillsborough College, which you've always, lumped
I'm
in baseball and education.
So excited about
Yeah,
that.
which they would never get without this project.
Correct.
You're building 8 million square feet, which will produce property taxes that it doesn't produce now. None of these things would come to fruition if not for these guys investing. And as I've said, there are 10 other cities in America that are just waiting for us to drop the ball, and they're going to swoop in and grab these guys.
And just listen.
And they don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah,
No.
but just listen to you guys. Our community needs to know how many powered men and women want this to happen.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
JP
the vocal
is-
minority is winning the day
J-
right now on social media, and that needs to change.
Yeah, JP's so adamant,
Yes.
and on this show and on his show, and to write your congressman, your city officials and your county officials,
Yes.
to let them know, to
Everybody
to bark out there
Yeah.
to go.
Every person that
We're for
you've ever
this.
given a baseball to or taught baseball,
Yeah.
email
or
them
give him
and
one of his 11 books too.
every all these people that you've touched over the last so many,
60
we
years.
need to get everybody mobilized and just email your local city and county commissioner, because they're getting a lot of information to the negative, and they need to know how near and dear baseball is to us, because if we don't do this now, and I mean in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we may never have another chance.
Right. And
So
how
it
near and
is
dear
critical.
baseball, education, and business, because that's
Yeah.
what this is all is.
Yes.
It's not just, it's a business. It's
Yeah.
it's a positive business deal for the legacy of Tampa Bay, not just Tampa. It'll change the spectrum of this. You know how many companies are going to want to come in here?
Yes.
They're already coming in because it's a vibrant area, but so many more.
Yeah, you want to reverse that
Japanese
momentum?
companies are going to be like, I want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Companies from all over, Latin American companies are going to go, I want to, base myself. And there's plenty of movement and land for those companies to be, because they don't need to be in the center like the stadium needs to be. They can be out wherever, but they're a part of this whole growth. I just think it's paramount.
And from a baseball standpoint, I mean, we've been this little sisters of the poor bullshit for so long. We're
Right.
the 11th largest market. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We seem to put our big boy pants on, and we can buy fire trucks and build a stadium and become the dog that we are. The 10th largest, we'll soon be the 10th largest media market.
Yeah.
That is not a small market. And if we build this, we take all of that money that we're building, just like the Braves did.
Right.
Right.
The Braves are now at a $265 million payroll. Their market's not much bigger than ours. And they're now
That's
they put the money into the team
Right.
that they made from the Battery.
Yeah.
So this is about baseball as well. You want to keep Junior Caminero here? You want to keep our players instead of having them run off every freaking time when they get expensive? Then this has to be done because they're going to use that money to put back into the team.
That needs to be said again, and people need to really, really hit home and understand that the Braves have jumped exponentially into the $265 million. They're in the upper echelon, 15 and above level of how much money they're throwing out there. So they are putting their money where their mouth is.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're making the money. They put the money out to, and shared with Cobb County. And now the income is being thrown back out. If they were at 130 or 150, then you're going, okay,
winning the World Series.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And it's such a great experience up there.
Ooh,
in Atlanta. It's just really
Truist Park,
You love it?
the Battery, the fandom.
Love it.
I want to say, listen, we have been blessed, and this guy has been a part of the championships, right? Front and center on the field, on the ice, literally, right? You and I have been there as fandom,
right?
But this guy has been there with Super Bowl wins, hockey championships, World Cup, Stanley Cups. I don't know, and I'm going to throw it out to both you guys, but we win a World Series in that new stadium down the road in years. I mean, not to say we couldn't win a World Series this year, we couldn't win a World Series next year, couldn't win a World Series in 28. I'm not saying it can't happen. The stranger things have happened, right? The Marlins have won a World Series when nobody thought they would, especially in 2003. But what would be the impact you think of a championship, off of a brand new stadium or years after that in this area?
It's the process.
It's a process.
It's the process and this is what this is now that we're going through. So we approved this and we all work together in a private public partnership.
Right.
Like it works like it does in Atlanta, and more money comes into the city. So you can buy more fire trucks and fix the potholes. And if for those people, the pearl clutchers, they're like, we can't spend the money and give it to billionaires
over here.
They're just like education. They're myopic. If you're going to help people, you got to open the door.
Exactly.
You got to open your vision.
Yeah, because you're like investing $1 billion.
Brush,
the projections, and I understand you can make numbers look everything, but I know this: if you build 8 million square feet and tax it, where you're getting no tax money out of that land right now, that's a humongous windfall for 30 years, not 5, not 10. Just look at the Battery. That thing went positive in 7 years, not 30. In 7 years, they were making enough money to pay off their yearly bonds. Now they made $40 million last year when their payments are $16 million. So where's that other money going? It's going to state of Georgia education. It's going to Cobb County education. It's going into the general fund to buy what? More fire trucks and build more schools. So if you're one of those people that said we can't spend the money because we have to spend it on other things, no, you invest the $1 billion, you make 6 back, and you keep your Major League Baseball team. You have 12,000 jobs, and you build a new school. I mean,
that's an amen.
What more do you want?
I mean, that's true growth.
That's true growth.
That's true growth,
and that's smart, and that's building, and that's looking forward instead of we got to hold on to our pennies. No, you want to build something great. You want to be a visionary. Yeah. You want to build a new college. You want to give kids more opportunity. You want to get more jobs in this area. You want to bring more people in to give us better jobs so we can be, that great Florida city. Say no, send it to Orlando, and that they can become.
And the thing about it too is, the unfortunate example that you have in South Florida is the Marlins debacle, right? Yeah. Which was complete opposite of what we're talking about here, Coach. You had a stadium that costs, I don't know the exact cost, but
it'll end up costing about $2.4 billion.
Exactly.
With interest.
The way they financed it. So it was mismanaged, misappropriated because Loria just basically took so much advantage of the municipalities there, put very little money in, and got, so much tax dollars to build the stadium, then sold the team. You're not talking about, let's just say that the Rays came out and said, like, we're going to build a $1.3 billion stadium. We're only going to put in $300 million.
Right.
That's all we're doing. We need you guys to put in $1 billion.
Right.
No. And we're going to put it in a horrible location.
And we're going to put it in a terrible location, and there's nothing going to be around it.
Yeah.
That's the Marlins deal.
That's what they did.
That's exactly what they did. Derek Jeter himself, a couple of 3 years into being president of the Marlins, said, this is his exact words, I wish I could lift this stadium up and move it north.
Yeah.
He wanted to move it to Broward, where it should have been to begin with.
Middle of the market.
In the middle of the market.
Just what the Braves did. Move it to where your fans are.
You know, a billion late and $1 short, or a day late and $1 billion short.
2 billion short.
2 billion short. So this is a completely different deal of sharing. And you're talking $2 billion, but you're not talking about an ownership that's nickel and diming like the Ybor City deal, back in 18 and 19. That was, we can only put in 150. You're not talking about a gas plant deal that first they committed big money, and then all of a sudden we can't do the deal. They're in it to win it. And you make a great point. Where would we be if this thing doesn't get done? It's a very, very, massive scenario, bro.
We've done a tremendous job with everything getting to a national showcase.
Yeah.
And this would just embarrass us.
Including USF and the growth that they're doing.
And let's give St. Pete a little credit here for bringing the Rays here.
Sure.
And building that stadium.
And the growth that's in downtown St. Pete is fantastic.
And they got it done, and it's been there for 29 years. I love St. Pete. Downtown St. Pete is fantastic. If you've not gone to dinner there and gone to listen to music or gone to a Rowdies game and enjoyed Vinoy Park, you are missing out. And the beaches, my God, the best beaches in the world.
Right. And Clearwater, for that matter.
There's so much awesome stuff over there. And they're going to build a convention center and a lot of other great stuff down there when the baseball team leaves. And
maybe
it's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much
Coach,
better.
It's just a marketing thing. You can't sell anything when half your market's in the water.
Exactly. You
can't
sell
do it. I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, let's first of all say a big thank you to our sponsors, Texas Roadhouse, Wesley Chapel, one of the great locally owned restaurants here.
Yeah,
our good friend Tyler.
Owners. Yeah, fantastic. And Tyler was at the game yesterday. He was texting us at the Bolts game. Unfortunately, the Bolts they did gain a point. They got in the overtime and lost to the Kraken. That's one of my favorite
Kraken
nicknames, by the way, for the NHL. But great place, right there in a beautiful area of Wesley Chapel, or near Wesley Chapel area there on Highway 56. Went by the Wiregrass Mall, by the outlets, by everything accessible. I can't say enough about it. Great food, comfortable price, and just a wonderful ownership. Wonderful people, great service, and they have a butcher, which is always
hand cut those steaks,
so they can cut your steaks.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So thanks to those folks. And Genesis of Tampa, Mike Murphy, who we mentioned, the Murphy Auto Group. I just bought a car there, Coach. It is fantastic.
He's riding high. This is just like 5 days ago.
What is it? A Genesis?
Yeah, he's EV70.
So bad.
Oh, it's so sweet.
God.
Yeah,
I never thought I could afford a car like that, to be honest with you.
They get a great deal
and
a great trade-in, because that made the difference.
Yeah, they gave me a ton of money for my trade. They got a 2023. And it's
low mileage,
brand freaking new. It smells new, it acts new, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I got a great deal, and they're great people over there. They do so much in the community.
I think it was a little old lady from Clearwater Beach must have had it and just had it.
I think so.
In storage.
Yeah.
Just had it in storage.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So
but and they give away so much to the community as well.
Yeah.
Good partners. So we love representing them. So thanks to our sponsors.
And Kingmakers here, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we appreciate our sponsors, and we appreciate you being here, Coach.
Oh, it's just lovely.
And speaking of the community, let's segue to your foundation, the Pete Mulry Foundation, that uses baseball to teach kids some of the great life lessons. I'll let you take it from there.
Sure. It's we've been very blessed. I hate to say this. I'm going to tell you a cute story. I started the Stars of the Future program 26 years ago when I had a real estate company on Perdido Key. And some gentleman walked in. He said, Pete, by the way, didn't you used to be a baseball coach in Tampa? And I said, yeah. He said, boy, we need some help down at the Little League field. And I said, well, tell me a little more. Well, we're doing this. And I said, well, I'll help you with 3 conditions. 1, we have a train-the-trainer program for the coaches.
Right.
2, we'll put on a clinic for the kids. But first of all, I would like to talk to the parents how to be a better sports parent.
Right.
But just how to be a better parent to teach your kids life skills. So that's where the Stars of the Future program, I laugh when I say this, it's the Stars of the Future brought to you by Jocks of the Past. So, my birthday proves that, I guess.
Awesome.
So, but that kind of evolved into doing, on the field clinics. And then all of a sudden we came to Tampa. We did a few of those. And then one Saturday with the citywide clinic that used to come to,
Yeah, sure.
A Colombian lady stopped me and she said, well, Coach, what do you do on Monday?
Right.
How do you help the kids on Monday?
And I know who you're going to talk about. I forget her name now, but yeah, she was fantastic.
And so I began to say, well, what can I do? And that's when we developed the concept of threads and being the manager of this all-star team and having a character for each position to teach life skills to kids. And we did 11 books now. You mentioned it.
I know. Yeah.
They're really cool. But now, and by the way, when we go to the meeting, the board of directors meets for the sports club Wednesday, we're going to ask them for a little help. We're going to take all the books and we're going to an animation. And
nice.
I love that.
And they're going to be done. Mike Belushi is a local guy, a West Tampa guy,
Okay.
a local guy that's going to take that, and our characters are going to be live for kids.
Nice.
Love it.
And that's cool.
Okay.
And we started already, and we're
So where are they going to show the animation is going to be?
Coach, we'll either do it on a couple of ways. One, we'll do it just through kind of a local ramp type of thing.
Right.
But we'll do it through YouTube.
Okay.
But what we want to be able to do, like our big, we're going to do over 600 kids this year.
Okay.
1,027. But most of our kids are programs in our program with the service club, Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
The Y, we're in 4 Ys now.
Great.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We're up Leaps Academy in the autistic group of kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're down at Cornerstone where our high school boys and girls are training the young kids. And then we're going to do a program down in the Ybor City, back to our mentor and reading and having a little thing there. But in fact, Matt, who I just met coming in from Kingmaker, he was telling me there's another platform called Fiddle, I think it's called, for young kids, which we can get on. So what we're trying to do is we don't know if we're helping or not, but we do know if we don't do what we need to do,
Right.
we're not helping.
Correct.
Exactly.
So
Phenomenal. I didn't know it was that far reaching with so many of the different rec centers.
well, Coach, you know what happened to
That's
me,
outstanding.
being, and you coming from a family of teachers.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that.
Coach, no, but it got harder to do things. You talk about trying to get the stadium done. When I went in, you would think our program would be open arms with our educational program. No, just hard to get a volunteer in there. They got to go through all of that. And I understand you got to have a little bit, but don't make it so difficult.
Yeah.
They say, people, I'm done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The schools, when you try to volunteer now, you got to jump through so many freaking hoops.
Crazy.
The bureaucracy is tricky, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So my thing was,
and it's well intended.
Yeah.
But, you want to keep
Protection
the kids
wise,
safe, but you go so far over the top that no, it's not worth your time to volunteer anymore.
And I said to myself,
got to be a balance.
And Glenn Permuli, who coached with me back in the day at Tampa Catholic, and who's a monster Boys and Girls Club guy,
wonderful man.
and he said, Pete,
bless his soul,
go to the service clubs that already know how to do this. Duh.
Right.
Get out of the schools. Yeah, the schools are too bureaucratic.
Right. Okay. I see.
Unfortunately.
You with me? And so, like in the summertime, we do all the reading programs in the Boys and Girls Club. And so we take the process, we give it to them, and they do it. Or in the Y.
Yeah.
And
the
all
Boys and Girls Club are so phenomenal, man. I enjoy working with them.
And coach in the Y too.
Yeah.
They know
how to do it.
And then the other different little thing is we're now in the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, because that's more one-on-one. Yay.
Yeah.
It's like my thing has always been in coaching and teaching. How can we help?
Yeah.
It's not about ego. Yeah, the championships are terrific. But how many kids are we helping?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where the legacy is. That's where the
Absolutely.
legacy is. And it's so needed these days because the kids are so inundated by this crap and, social media and what it's doing to our children, and the kids are getting depressed. We got to get them into sports and get them off the screens and use sports to teach them these life lessons that maybe they're not learning other places.
Coach, and if we're on the screen, make sure we're
We're
giving some food for thought.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And how can folks help out your foundation? Your website is?
It's Peter J. Mulry, MULRY, foundation.org. And it kind of talks a little bit about everything. And in 30 days, we'll have a sample of what we're doing animation wise. But that's going to be cool as can be.
So the 11 books are available on the webpage there,
Coach. They are, and they're also in Amazon.
That's
great. And everything, every book publisher out there, we're on.
Give me 3 minutes on the book so people understand. Like I know, and I've seen them and I've read them. You have some like maybe about a catcher, and it'll be about a particular person.
Sure.
So you pick positions and you pick scenarios, and you have a character.
Yes. And what we did, we took all the positions.
Right.
Thread starts it out. He's the manager, and he's kind of blends all these all-star people. Like Pedro, the pitcher, is he's responsibility. So the story in the book
is about that
responsibility,
right?
Or Kathy, the catcher,
sure,
she's accountability,
right?
Or Freddie, the first baseman. I use you, by the way, Freddie. Don't be mad. And he's correct choices. And Sam, the second baseman, his story is about commitment,
right?
And Samantha, she's attitude.
Right.
And the cannon at third base is Gary, and he's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And then the right fielder is Louis. He's friendship.
Right.
And then Chen, the center fielder, he's about confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rita, the right fielder, is honesty. And then discipline is the designated hitter.
I love it.
So they're all entwined.
They're all a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now, and what's neat is now we have a lesson plan for each book. We have a program where kids can go in and do Spanish and English on a PDF.
Right.
I couldn't think of the PDF. and then the books itself. And now we throw that into animation. Now we got a full-blown.
Really
I got it.
Now we got a full-blown program.
That's outstanding, bro.
That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Coach, we thank you for all you do in the community. It's great stuff. I know the golf tournament was incredibly successful.
Yeah, that you weren't there.
I apologize. My producer dogged me, so I had to go to work instead of play golf. Trust me, I'd much rather play golf.
Trust us, any chance to play golf.
Absolutely.
And it would be great.
I'm going to get this guy out there next time. But I'm glad you got time to come in here and we can talk about your foundation. And I want to just do a few more minutes here just because I got you guys here.
Sure.
So we talked a lot about baseball now and how the game has changed, especially in high schools. I had a coach tell me the other day, it said, it's not about accountability or teamwork anymore. It's like, how many wristbands can I put on? What eye black am I going to wear? And I saw a picture of like this 8-year-old kid the other day that was walking in with his bag, the eye black. I was like, the kid's like 8 years old. He's playing T-ball. I'm like, bro, you don't need all the protection stuff. It's like it's become a show instead of a sport. And travel ball and how expensive it is. I see this story all the time. A local kid, they were in a program that the father didn't make a whole lot of money, could not afford travel ball, and was playing in a local little league here. Yeah. And basically, he said it's like a cartel. If you don't get on a travel team, even though you're a really good player, you get to the high school level, the coach owns the travel team business, and so
he's going to play those guys.
So if you weren't on his travel team, you ain't making his high school team. I'm like, how is that possible?
Yes.
How is that possible? How have we gotten here?
Well, JP, just think about this. I bet you O's going to be right with me on this.
Yeah.
The kids that played for me, the young Latin kids, and folks coming over from Cuba, they don't have any money to go play travel ball.
Yeah, no, there was.
How about you in Miami? How many years ago? You guys didn't do that.
No, sir. No, we were just scrapping, man. But you make a great point, JP, because that's happening. I literally, and I won't name the school or name the situation, but a friend of mine in Miami just told me that, and he has a kid, and the coach literally said, you need to sign up to my travel league team. It's $1,100. And he was trying out for his high school team. And he goes, you need to sign up for my travel.
That's not baseball.
Yeah, that's like extortion.
Yes.
If you're going to play for my high school team, a public high school.
Yeah, but I think I mowed lawns to get the $25 that cost to play at Rotary Park.
I sold Goo Goo bars.
There you go.
Around my neighborhood.
That's a lot of Goo Goo bars now, though, bro.
Dude,
the $1,100 a month.
No, it wasn't $1,100. Yeah, right. If it was that much,
it's insane. Everybody's got their personal coaches. It's like
my shirt.
Coach, I asked one of the guys that played for me. He said my grandson's cost for 10 years of travel ball for us was $100,000.
Really, 10 grand a year.
Cheap.
I'm like,
and that's probably cheap.
Yeah,
because they're definitely at least $1,000 a month.
And imagine
nowadays.
having to be a travel ball team in Florida. You don't have to travel in Florida to go play good baseball and get challenged.
We just
get out of here.
Within 30,
go next door.
Within 30 minutes, you have a great game.
Yeah,
you should have a great game.
Yeah, there's
and you know what's funny. By the way, I got a girlfriend and she's really nice.
Nice.
and I'm
hopefully she loves baseball.
She does.
Yeah, boy.
That's a prerequisite.
She does. But she used to be the HR director down at the Stravs.
Okay.
And she was talking about all the different kind of people she did. But she said, Pete, you know what's, I tell people all the time, the most important thing is not what and where, it's the how. And that's what we're missing in baseball today. Oh, we're not teaching the how anymore.
No, it's well, I mean, it's a lot of metrics now. So they'll teach the how, but it's truncated by so many, well, you got to be at 12 degrees here and in the arm here and the spin rate, while the fundamentals, I think, are, have gone by the wayside, and it's all just about.
Yeah, especially if we're, for me, I mean, my group that hopefully I did the best work with or felt more comfortable with is that 13 to 18-year-old young man.
Yeah.
You got a kid at 13, he leaves you a young man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you're trying to do every day to make him better, but also, we want him to learn to hit a slider and a curveball and do a double cutoff. But is he becoming a better man?
Right.
Or a better young boy?
And the discipline factor, I think now it's become too me, I, because it's so individualistic and there's so much private coaching now too.
Yeah.
So the private coaching it's good. There's no doubt that your player starts showing, talent at 13, 14, 15. Sure. If you're a parent or a guardian and you've got the wherewithal,
right,
go private, right? A few times, but that can't be all that you do, because the discipline of teamwork and unity and community, that's why unity is in community, is so paramount in all walks that we do, but especially in sports. And I think predominantly in baseball, because I don't think there's a greater game that has that aura of oneness and working together.
Well, just think how we're digesting that game yesterday, and it's all about life.
Yeah.
What you're talking about yesterday, we could beam those guys 50 years down the road. They'll be doing the same thing, the same behavioral patterns.
Yeah. Well, they got a game tomorrow as we go out, and I just want to mention that Joe Boyle, the youngster, 26 years old, fireballer, will be on the mound. They're trying to get back in there and even up this series 1-1. Obviously, they got an off day today. I'm excited about seeing Joe Boyle. Obviously, Ryan Pepio has got the hip issue with the inflammation, so he's going to be out for a little while. It gives a chance for this kid to come up, and we've seen him before, JP and Coach. Exciting arm. And he's been going up against Michael McCreevy, who is decent, but not an overpowering pitcher. A guy that pitches to contact, look out for that knuckle curve that he throws. I like the kid, but if you're looking face value on paper, Joe Boyle, hopefully he's going to have a good game, not miss his fastball like we did yesterday.
Yeah.
And then our offense will show up some runs. Hey, if we score 7 runs a game every game this year,
we're fine with that. We better win a lot. We got pitching issues. Hey, real quick, we have people that comment, so when I can't read them all, I'm going to read a couple here.
Sure.
Alex Nunn says, can y'all imagine the impact of hosting a WBC, an all-star game, NCAA tournament is so much more. There's a bold vision with billions to be made. Yeah, and listen, they built that stadium.
Point, Alex. Thank you.
An all-star game, which never came to Tropicana Field for obvious reasons. We'll be coming here.
28th year.
We'll be coming here.
An all-star game.
But WBC will be coming here.
Right.
NCAA tournaments, basketball with a big dome. We can do that too.
Yes.
And you get the city and the area of Tampa Bay to host, which we do it as good as anybody.
Amen.
Major events.
Amen.
Where else can you go to the beach? Yeah, they don't have a beach in Dallas. They don't have a beach in, so you go to Miami, but that's also spread out. Plus you don't want to go to Miami. Some of these other great cities that host these big events, where better than Tampa Bay?
The attraction as you zoom out of Tampa and you go, oh, there's beachfront
Yeah.
right there.
And
Coach, I'm telling, we show so well.
Yeah.
We
It's
show so well.
unbelievable.
That's a great
I mean,
point.
think, and also you have Orlando, which we're going to become one city here soon. We're not going to be competitive. It's going to be all one city,
Well,
and you
within
got theme
5
parks.
years,
So
well,
we can get there quicker on a
on a
trail or
trail.
something. It'll really be
That's
close.
coming too.
That's coming.
Yes, sir.
That's coming too. When that bright line comes in, it's going airport to airport.
Yes.
What's going to be next to the airport? The
The
baseball
ballpark.
stadium.
The ballpark.
Right. Exactly.
And
So,
the
yeah.
multiplex.
Yeah, and one more from Alex Nunn says, and you now have ownership who loves this Tampa Bay area with so many around the center core of Cosgrove, Babby, and Zalupski. What a huge opportunity for not just Tampa, but Tampa Bay.
Alex,
Absolutely.
double
Bringing it.
duty, bringing it on
bringing
a
it.
Friday.
Yeah.
None like you, Alex.
All right. Thanks to Texas Roadhouse, Wesley Chapel, Murphy Auto Group, Kingmakers. Our thanks to our guest, Pete Mulry, the
Special
coach,
guest, brother.
Hall
We
of
love you,
Famer,
Pete.
Big
Love
O.
you, brother.
Yeah.
Love you guys. And what is it you always like to say? Hold on. Let me get your theme going here.
There you go, man.
Producing, baby.
You know what? You got to stay like Pete Mulry, who was 80 years young. Look at that for 9 June.
Yeah,
you know how he's every day? Tranquilo, he's obrigado.